No, I don't know. Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Evening, everyone. Welcome. We are going to start with the approval of minutes for regular session, April 27th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on these?
I just have a question,
Yeah.
which maybe is my memory, but if not, maybe. On page 2, under the minutes, motion 2630, it references Brian Ledbetter being there,
Yeah.
and I don't know who that is.
So he's not.
No, I'm sorry, I used a different one.
Okay.
We'll make
Like,
sure to
the
get that
rest
off
of
of
it
there.
looks great, but I didn't know who that was.
He just happened to stroll by.
Popped in for a second.
Yeah.
All right.
Otherwise, looks
So, approval as amended, all in favor? Perfect. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes from executive session for 27-26?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion here? All in favor? And we'll move on to the financial reports.
Financial report says we're moving, as we have in past years. There are some lines that we need to be aware of. If you look on the notes page from Kristen, 300,025, just showing some overages doing as a result of negotiations and special ed litigation. Textbooks, that's actually going to come up a little later on. I need to ask for a vote of approval for grant we received. So Burgess piloted a unit with Open Sky Ed. It was put in the textbooks line to make that kind of go over, but we do have money in supplies and materials that will eventually balance that out. For technology and software, I think that's because we had some renewals in fiscal 27 that we're starting to place for fiscal 27. So that's line 300. And then obviously you know about specialized transportation has been out of control all year. So we're trying to figure that out as we go. Overall, the end result looks good. We're right on track with past years. We have some surplus that would likely go to prepay tuitions as they were not budgeted for FY27, and then oil top off and some supplies and materials.
Just one question, which I may not have an answer to, but on page 1, contracted services, OTPT speech, looks like that jumped by about 10,000 since we met in the middle of April. You know if there's like additional students receiving services or?
I believe so. I would check it for you, but I do believe that that's the case.
So you're specifically looking at 225?
Yes, 225.
We'll get back to you on that one.
Are there any other questions for Jody? Thank you. We'll move on, communications. That was.
Yeah, legal obligation on
Yeah.
that for the quarterly report for SWEC quarter 3. That's it. Any questions?
On that? We all received that. And the principal's report?
Everyone, we're in the home stretch, so you can see our enrollment is somewhat stable at 805. I want to recognize Lynn Longbottom, Jolyn Parento, Lynn Menard, and Barbara Provo for their many years. I think it's 143 years combined of service and dedication to Burgess Elementary School, and wish them well in their retirement. Many thanks to our PTO for a week filled with fun and games, breakfast, lunch treats, and surprises to the entire staff for Teacher Appreciation Week. Want to thank Tyler Edmonds and all of the dedicated volunteers and others that worked on the production of the Rainbow Fish musical. It was wonderful. Fifth grade DARE program is wrapping up. We're very excited to have DARE back at the school. Their graduation for the fifth graders will be on Monday, June 8th. In addition, we did have our senior stroll last week. It was wonderful. Just really proud of the kids, the seniors. Where they're going off to school, what their programs of study are looking like. Just an amazing time. And just one cute aside is a group of them asked if they could do the Burgess Pledge. And I led them off with here at Burgess, and they all just fell in line and did the whole Burgess Pledge. So that was wonderful. A lot of hard work went into establishing, our PBIS program, and it was really great that they still remembered that. So wonderful part. MCAS testing has wrapped up. Thank you to everyone, students and staff, for all the hard work. Professional development release day back in May, focused on class placement, which is getting tightened up as we speak. And as we speak right now, we have a total of 70 students fully screened for kindergarten. We have enrollment packets that are here, but we're at that. That was about where we were last year at that time. Any questions on the report? So I would like to next roll into our school improvement plan for the 26-27 school year. I will just briefly peruse it, and you can read it at your leisure, but our first goal actually revolves around continued work around writing. Our second goal is to continue working on our early literacy instructional practices. Our third goal, this is very new. The first two are sort of just further work on goals that we've had going already, is to actually work on, we're going to participate in a district-wide review of the impact of artificial intelligence on our education process. So that will be done at the district level, but Burgess, as will all the elementary schools, have participation in that as well. The fourth goal is to continue working on the behavior coach model, enhancing our behavioral interventions and support, our PBIS program, and continue to enhance the utilization of Review 360. And our last goal talks about just community partnering, so working with the senior adults, continuing our weekly family communication, and community preschool and kindergarten outreach. Are there any questions on the
Question. Just in goal 2, it talks about research and establishment of a language-based classroom.
Mm-hmm. We started that this year, okay? We actually have a quasi-model of that. We're going to continue to look at it, but the population of children coming up don't necessarily need the level of intensity that we needed for this year and thought we might need for future years. So right now we're sort of continuing to research, look at other schools that have programs, and have further conversation on that.
And this would be for children that primarily are not English speaking?
No, this is actually children who have been diagnosed with dyslexia.
Oh, okay.
Or
That's what I was looking for clarification.
significant reading challenges.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that would go hand in hand with the increased or more frequent screening for dyslexia, and so it's
we're doing,
continuation.
we're absolutely, and we are already doing that. We're meeting definitely the state standard for that. And we do progress monitoring, just so there is testing, progress monitoring, and do that, yeah.
Could you tell us more about the communities that you hope to reach through Goal 5? Would that be the senior center?
The senior, yeah, and we
or-
will just continue our work with Leslie Wong. We had, prior to COVID, you might remember, we had opportunities where we were bringing the folks here. We used to go and perform for them there. We did have the Memorial Day program recorded. Our videographer recorded it, and he's actually shared it with me, so I'm going to be able to share that with Leslie so she can bring it down, but trying to just engage more with them.
And are there other communities within Sturbridge that you hope to connect with, or is that the starting point?
That's the starting point. We have them though, so we do have through We have worked a lot on food insecurity and things like that. We've been doing a lot of work along those lines. Thank you.
Just had a quick question. For the first goal, where it says continue to review core content and master schedule, what do you mean by, is there like a change in the schedule?
I don't foresee one at this point in time, but we will continue to look at it. One of the challenges that I hear from the teachers is there's a lot to fit in, and there is. There's a tremendous amount to fit into the day, and where we tend to struggle is making sure we're getting, solid writing blocks in, and it's very difficult. So we have been looking at it. We've made some adjustments just within the grade levels, have tried to make adjustments to make sure it's getting done, but we will continue to look at that.
If I may make a thought to think about, it may not be next year, maybe it's down the road. We have a new veterans agent in town.
So,
And there are a remarkable number of
Right.
veteran affiliated and military affiliated.
Yeah.
Some of the kids here have siblings who are serving. So I think that could be a potential opportunity.
you'll probably recall that we did a tremendous amount of outreach with the veterans in the past. So
Yes.
maybe I definitely take that, and that's something we could add, because we had, you probably will recall, Mary, where we had the representative come in, we
Yeah.
had family members, family service members in, where we talked about different things, and we have definitely made sure, so that's something we should bring back, so I hear that. Thank you.
Superintendent's report, after we had a wonderful graduation weekend after 3 attempts to actually get it off and running, so it went well. We give a lot of congratulations to families for supporting the students, because we hear that they're going off to bigger and better and going to do wonderful things, so that's great. The state budget is for legislation revolving around rural aid. It's been going back and forth, whether or not it's continued or not continued. Obviously, we'll get that report at the beginning of next year to determine where we can apply those funds, but there's no guarantee that we're going to even get any. So they're still jockeying back and forth in legislation. And then I mentioned it with the budget report regarding supplies and materials. We had an opportunity, it actually started here in Burgess, to work with, it's called the 1-8 Foundation, relative to science education. We've had used Nat Geo over the last 6 or 7 years. That's more of like a textbook hardcore. It's more like just stand and deliver. This philosophy of teaching science is more phenomenon-based. So using some general budget money, we were able to pilot a unit at the end of this calendar year to see if we wanted to move forward with the 1-8 grant. Fortunately, we applied for the grant. We actually got awarded $54,950 to Sturbridge. It's over 3 years, so we'll get a good portion of it this year for the fiscal 27. And then we get subsequent funds for the years to follow for 3 years, because the startup costs obviously are higher at the beginning of the year, of the 3 years, than it is at the end. So we have been awarded that. In order to spend down that money and now start making plans for unit implementation next year, which will be 3 of the 6 units next year, we need a vote of approval to accept the grant. So it's in totality of $54,950.
To clarify, this grant money can only be spent on this program.
Correct.
Okay.
And only for professional learning of teachers, which are 3 at Burgess. 3 teachers at Burgess have signed up, and the supplies and materials that go along with this unit study. And it's for grade 6 only, if I did not clarify that.
But one point I'd like to make is that I think at this point, all of our grade levels have actually taken advantage of the opportunity to go to Quabbin and actually see this, and we have really positive response. I think we've actually ordered materials for 1 unit for grades 2, 4, and 5 for next year. And we were willing to add the other grades to that as well, but it was just really important for me that the teachers would be able to go and actually see it in practice, so that they, it's going to be a heavy lift. We know that, it's a major shift. Again, we talk about the schedule, the master schedule, trying to fit everything in, but I think that it will really be beneficial to the children, and the teachers have been excited about it to be.
So we are in the exploratory phase for grades. It exists K to 12, honestly, but we're in the exploratory phase for K to 5. But this particular grant is 6 only. And in 3 years, it is required that grade 6 adopts all 6 units. So that's what's required by the grant. In the other grades, to be clear, we're not required, we're exploring, and based on the general budgets, whether or not textbooks or supplies or materials cover those costs, that's
Maybe there'll be great opportunities in grade 4.
right.
This is very exciting. It would be helpful to have this all in writing, to kind of follow along as you're speaking. This should happen again, we get $50,000 again, which I hope we will. That would,
Yeah.
this is interesting information. So it is, just to recap, $54,000 over 3 years for grades
6 only.
6 only. So,
$54,950
Yes.
over 3 years for grade 6 only.
I can give you the breakdown by 3 years if you want, but
No,
in
no, this is-
totality, we need to spend about $54,950.
Is that over 3 years?
Over 3
Over
years.
And is the grant only for grade 6 because that's what we wanted, or
So-
that's?
Yeah, so the grant itself from 1-8 was really supposed to be for 6, 7, and 8th grade. It was a middle school pathway. So because of our orientation, I did some talking with the reps to see if we could just start with grade 6 first, and then certainly integrate more into grade 7 and grade 8 in the future. But this particular, it's called Community Initiatives Grant. It's specific for grades 6, 7, and 8, but they altered for our situation in grade 6 only. Because we had to declare a LEA, and we declared Sturbridge as our LEA.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the community initiatives grant in the amount of $54,950 for the 1-8 foundation?
It's community initiatives, yes. The 1-8 Foundation is actually providing us with the professional learning, but it's a community initiatives grant. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that part, I heard 1-8. Yes, that's what we need, thank you.
Do I have
Okay.
any other discussion?
Just a question that's not really directly related, but will this be going to the junior high as well? For the
So-
7th and 8th grade part
as
of?
those kids
So they have a
filter
7th and 8th grade part, and I'm very excited to be doing that work next year. So
Okay.
that when our 6th graders actually move to 7th grade, that the phenomenon type and the problem solving and all that other stuff doesn't get lost.
To be clear, this grant is a Burgess grant.
Only,
Yes.
it's a Burgess grant only.
That's what I said, not totally.
No, yes, sorry,
No.
just wanted to be clear.
So I don't know if you remember back when we were talking about new math programs, 6, 7, 8 with EdGems, like, it's, curriculum does start in the 6th grade for a middle school pathway. We have an orientation here that's K to 6 that puts 6th grade in an elementary track, which is not good curriculum-wise when we're talking about framework. So the more middle school pathways we can create for our 6th graders, the more we're starting their cognitive development changes in 6th grade. So we want to start it here and then change it and continue to change it all through that, their middle school years. So that's what we're trying to do. So we have it right now currently in math, middle school pathway. We actually have it in social studies. So now we're moving to science. So 3 of our 4 will hopefully have this middle school pathway.
Thank you. We still have to vote, so all in favor? Is there anything else
That's what I have, thank you. That's it.
With that, we'll move on to public access. We'll open public access for anyone that wants to speak. No? Yeah?
This is my
So
first
you-
time at the school committee. What's the procedure now?
So you just have to identify your name, your address, so we can show you that you're a resident.
Sure.
And then you have 2 minutes.
Super. Perfect. Seth Manser, 148 Cedar Street, Redwood Street, Sturbridge. I brought this to the PTO, and Paige asked me to come here. So I have a child in kindergarten here at Burgess, and about 4 years ago, when I started bringing my kids to the playground, where the first time the pesticide little sign was posted, it was the full skull and crossbones. It was like, huh, that's interesting. We're doing pesticide, herbicide application with skull crossbone, don't step on for upwards of 1-2 weeks, whatever the sign was. This past year, when the yellow signs went up, it was more benign. They removed the skull, but it's still stay off for upwards of 2 weeks. I heard from a parent there was softball scheduled in the evening during that application timeline. And so overall, I took a look through the IPM, or the Integrated Pest Management Plan submitted, and I'm happy to circulate the web link for it. And on it, it made it very clear that we're treating herbicides using Roundup Pro and about a half dozen other chemicals that I'm not terribly familiar with. But we're doing things like trying to kill the dandelions, plantains, which are kind of broad, plants, broadleaf plants. And there's no alternatives listed for biological or other methods. So essentially, it's an IPM, as I've read it. I graduated from the Plant and Soil Science department at UMass Amherst. And so essentially, as I read it, we've checked the box of having an IPM. We're compliant with EPA approved chemicals. But my advocacy is we can and we ought to do better. We're adjacent to a waterway. We have lots of kids that try to find a 3-year-old that listens to everything their parent says and doesn't go on the grass right after said toxic chemical has been applied. So I'm encouraging and looking to see what's the pathway, not just for Burgess, but really the entire district, to see what can we do. The plan is a few years old from the last time it was submitted, and curious what the process pathway is.
So we can take that into consideration, and I would ask that you actually email me that question. I can provide you that email address, and we can get back to you on that.
Beautiful.
This is something we can answer on the fly for
Totally
you,
get it.
but we will definitely follow up and get back to you.
Thank you.
I don't know, Paige, if you have my email that you
I
can
don't
provide?
think I do
Okay.
have your email, actually.
I can write it down for you. It's kind of a long last name, so before we leave, before you
Thank
leave,
you.
if you don't mind, I will put that for you. So is there anyone else? No? We will close public access. We will move on to subcommittee reports. We have the Rural Commission.
Yes, good evening, everybody. It's good to see you all. Thank you for coming. You survived to May, December. I feel like I deserve a vacation from everything. You all, I'm sure, feel the same way. So the most recent Rural Commission meeting happened at the exact same time on the exact same day as our joint regional meeting. So I was not in attendance, but excellent information. And with your blessing, I'd like to pass it along to everybody. We have some updates here about legislative movements. Nothing definitive, just like we heard, but it's useful to see in writing here. They didn't use a slideshow because several members also had different joint meetings for their regional districts on the same day, so we're in good company. Something that you will see that's of interest, and I'd be happy to share this with others who are curious. There is a fellowship through Teach for America called the Rural Schools Leadership Academy. There will be an informational webinar about the fellowship on June 15th from 2:30 to 3 for anyone interested, for interested leaders. I have a one-pager here and some program elements, if anyone's interested in this. There's some established RSLAs in North Carolina and Georgia. So if you're interested, they also have an impact report. So that may be of interest to some folks, so I just wanted to put that on your calendars. In terms of Massachusetts-based rural news, the fiscal 27 budget is being debated. Both branches have passed their versions. There's arguments about rural transportation and transportation writ large and regional transportation. And there's also some debate about what defines rural. And of course, we do have to be reevaluated every year based on that definition. The definition is tweaked. So nothing definitive, but good information to keep us informed when decisions are made. Recent votes in Boston, we've had support for rural efforts from both our state senator and state rep, but things are not, we're still not at the funding that we were recommended to be at. So opportunities, but nothing definitive.
Appreciate
I do what I
I think
can.
we've been saying this for a couple of years
Yeah.
now. And I know it's getting rougher out there, but nonetheless, we have been successful in the past couple of years.
I think I'm the only one that qualifies as rural. Moving on to negotiations, we will give a full update in executive session, but our next meeting is Monday, June 8th, so we can share that. And then building and physical plant, we've had nothing, so move on to Tantasco rep, which I'm told Jody will be giving the update.
Do you remember though?
Oh, I got it. No,
Okay,
Brad-
Okay.
Brad sent it to me.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. So, first, the current, their interim technical director will be moving back to her assistant principal position.
Okay.
And then we hired a new technical director. I don't remember. Okay, thank you. That sounds right.
I'll get his name.
Okay. So we hired a new director of career and technical education. So they'll be working closely to onboard him and get him set up there. So they're confident. The students from the technical side did have a meeting with some of the school committee members. Some of the things that kind of came up was the schedule at the high school. Is it Scott?
It is George Scobie.
Okay.
But we were close.
Yeah.
Scobie, that's all the same.
So some of the conversations that come up in that meeting was the schedule at the high school. It's hard to fit career and technical education into a comprehensive high school schedule because of the hours you need on the career and technical side. So that's kind of a conversation that's been ongoing and something that I think they'll continue to look at. There's a lot of end-of-year events. Graduation just happened for seniors this past weekend. It was moved from Saturday to Sunday, but still a great event. And then tomorrow is Step Up. So for our current sixth graders, they'll go to Tantasco. Yeah, it's very exciting. So that's it.
Did you eat lunch there?
Yes.
Okay.
And we serve them.
Yeah.
You too. Yeah, we serve
Okay, wow. Thank you. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Have some policies.
Nothing's changed from last month. That one edit has been made in EFBA. So as noted, we're looking for approval. Nothing else has changed.
Do I have a motion to, sorry, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Approve
Yeah.
upon second reading and adopt EFBA, FFA, and JIC.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion?
Couple easy questions, I think. EFBA, I just wanted to confirm that the meal modification request form, that's gonna be a live link once it's posted.
On
It is,
So excited.
Yeah.
it'll be live,
Yeah.
okay. And then on FFA commemoration policy, the second section there, or third section maybe, is procedures to adopt.
Under
This section. Actually, just the title of it, procedures to adopt. It's really the procedures to adopt a permanent commemorative, right? Because we can do the temporary one is immediate. Sorry, I'm not saying it well.
So under the scope, number 3.
Under the scope number 3, we have permanent and temporary.
Yeah.
The temporary one is immediate, but really then when we get to procedures, it's only addressing permanent. I'm just wondering if permanent should be in there, or if it feels like it's,
We should call it permanent.
if it's clear, if it's understood, or if we should call it out that it is for permanent commemorations.
Whatever the committee wants.
Yeah, then we get to clarify that.
So in the title and in the description?
I think just.
Just the title.
Just the title.
I mean, we do have similar language on the second page, permanent commemoration, special circumstances, so perhaps just to be consistent.
So procedures to adopt a permanent commemorative proposal. Just the title.
Yep, we'll
Just
take
the
it
title.
out.
And then this is just more of a question, but on the next page, under procedures to rescind, it says that the school committee shall review the request and may hold a public hearing. So we're not required to hold a public hearing, is that correct? Does everyone feel okay about that? And just thinking that like, it is then going on to talk about how we'll provide notice of a public hearing. Sort of seems like if we're gonna remove something that we had already decided should be commemorated, that maybe we would want public input.
So you're saying in line, item 3,
3,
cut, strike, may, and say,
will hold a public hearing.
and then,
I think it was just that one.
yeah,
word.
yeah. I agree with that. That would be
That's fine.
Yep.
So line 3,
Good
number 3,
suggestions.
so that's okay.
That's all I have.
So
So-
adopt based on 2 edits.
All in
Everything.
favor to adopt based on the 2 edits? New business. Does anyone have any? I have some. Sorry. So under, for the safe and supportive school survey that's gone out, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what this is and that on the record we are clear for what this is for parents and families who have questions. Because I received 2 inquiries about what this is and if I could answer them, and so I didn't have all of them. I assumed that they were similar to the vocal surveys that people are taking. But when I requested from Colleen a copy of the survey questions, I was denied. So I was just wondering if you could elaborate on why.
Sure, you want to go back to COVID times?
No,
Or
I don't think
just
you have to
this
go back, just
particular
this
one?
particular
Okay.
one, just so that we can kind of get a feel for why.
It was denied.
Correct.
Okay. So these surveys, and we started with the students because their time is ending with us where we can collect more data with families after school gets out with the parents and the adults. So ultimately, with the Safe and Supportive Schools grant, it was a 3-year grant that extended a little bit more. We might have another half year going into this next year. But it started out as a 1-year grant, went to a 3-year grant, and now we're even getting a little bit more than 3 years. So that Safe and Supportive Schools grant has 5 levers that we actually are calibrating with families, students included, students, parents, all alike. By releasing the questions, we're not sure we're keeping the integrity of the authenticity behind the answers of the students. So if we ask during recess, do students, do your peers treat you well, right? That's a question, right? Sometimes, always, never, whatever. To me, a student on the spot should be able to answer how they are feeling in that particular moment. If there's any type of coaching, and I'm not alluding that there could be, I'm just saying, if we release the questions ahead of time, there could be. And then it's taking away the authenticity behind the feedback that we're getting. So it's not that we don't want to share questions, we just feel like it takes away from the survey questions itself. However, that said, just like vocal, we can share the results of the surveys. We're happy to share the results of how Burgess students reply or respond, just like Vocal does with the DESE, on the DESE dashboard. So ultimately, there is an opt-out if parents do not want their children to take the assessment or the survey, then they can opt out within a 2-week period. That's what our policy states, and there is that option. So if there's any uncomfortableness, it's not necessarily a teaching tool, it's an experience tool. So,
Talking about the climate and the
climate and
environment
yes,
of the school experience.
yeah, and that's just one, and I don't even know if that's an example of the question, but it's basically wants to get an idea, do our students feel safe in school? And if they see something that they don't like, do they speak up? And if they speak up, is something done, right? So there's all of that. It's a climate survey.
So would it be safe to, since we can't share these survey questions, would it be safe to share the local survey questions and say these are very similar?
Thematically, it's very similar.
Okay.
There are more questions on the vocal assessment by the state than there is in our local. So.
And are these given, I'm assuming, different questions per grade level?
Yes. Ours, our
Yes,
local one,
like-
no, that is one for all.
So the same, the third graders gonna get the
Same as the sixth graders, yes.
Okay.
But vocal, it is tailored towards fourth and fifth grade actually for vocal.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I've never seen.
yeah, but this is a one that fits all supposedly.
So they'll have till June 14th to opt out?
Yes.
Okay.
And how quickly will you get feedback, the results of this survey?
Immediate. Now, how we decipher them and, then present, how we want to display it is something that takes the time, right? We can disaggregate and read, but to put it in a presentation that makes sense, sometimes it takes a little time.
And who came up with the survey?
I think that's why I'm gonna go back to post-COVID. When
Okay.
we first generated those climate surveys without any guidance, it was a committee
Okay.
that we sat and then, the Safe and Supportive Schools grant provided us with some surveys that we tailored to our needs. So they gave us a bank of questions and then we pick and choose.
So if we were to go online,
Yes,
there is a grant link
Yes.
online on the website. And I think I've actually gotten emails from
I'm not sure if
grants. I've been copied on
Yeah.
some emails that were distributed. I'm not sure where they were. They came to my school through the email. There would be examples of possible questions, I'm assuming there.
Yeah, I think
also.
you could Google levers of safe and supportive schools and you would get examples of questions.
Perfect. Okay.
Because there's 5 levers.
Okay. Okay. That works for me. That answered my question.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we will request to enter into executive session under MGL Chapter 30A, 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, the committee will adjourn from executive session. It's 6:38. We will roll call into executive session. Kavinsky, yes.
Burns, yes.
Keighley, yes.
Cameron, yes.
Sherman, yes.